In this session, we will try to understand what exactly is a chemical reaction. Okay, before we go forward, I have a small question for you. Okay, suppose I have a small cube which is made up of iron, and I'm storing this cube for almost 2 years. So after 2 years, I'm coming back and I'm looking at this cube. Okay, this is the cube 1. Okay, then similarly I had a second cube which I have hidden it at the same time when I hit this particular cube 1. But whereas this time this cube was completely packed with some plastic material. Okay, then after the same 2 years, I'm coming here to have a look at this particular cube. Now here the question is, what can you comment about these two cubes? Do you think these cubes will be as such they were actually hidden? Do you think they would be as in the same manner, or do you think there would be some change in those cubes? Think. What I observe is, probably I would see some kind of a layer which is reddish brown in color. Reddish brown in color. Whereas this one, which is clearly purely packed in the plastic, would actually remain as such. So here I would see a reddish brown layer. Why do you think I would see this layer? And before we understand why I would see that particular layer, I would like to understand something happened to my cube that I actually placed here. So because of that something, it led to the formation of something which is red in color. So there is some change happened to my cube. But whereas here, I have seen this cube just like that as it was in the beginning. So there was no change. Now here my worry is why there is a change here. So this is because of the formation of some new substance. Some new substance which is known as rust. So when this iron was exposed to the atmosphere, this atmosphere has oxygen and water vapor. They started, interacting with this iron that led to the formation of some new substance. So because of the formation of this new substance, there was a change, and this change is known as chemical change. This change is known as chemical change. Then what is a chemical reaction? Chemical reaction is defined as chemical change. So whenever I say a chemical change has taken place, then I can tell that a chemical reaction has taken place. A chemical reaction has taken place. So to understand this chemical reaction much more better, okay, and how do I know that chemical reaction has actually taken place? So one very clear thing that I can say from this example is, initially my iron was gray in color, okay, but after 2 years when I looked at it, there was some change in color. So there are certain things that you would observe which would actually tell you that something has formed, some new substance has formed because of some change, and this new substance will have a different composition compared to the original substance. You know, the original substance is made up of what? Iron, correct? But whereas the new substance, which actually combines with the oxygen and water vapor present in the atmosphere, it will form a compound, you call it as rust, and the formula of the compound is Fe2O3.XH2O. This is the formula of rust. So whenever there is a chemical change happening, there is a change in chemical composition of the original substance. You understand this? Only then I can say that a chemical change has taken place. If the chemical change has taken place, I can say that a chemical reaction has occurred. And this chemical change has taken place, you will get to know with various observations. So the first one of such kind of observation here we have seen is through color. So change in color tells us that there might be some chemical change happening here. Understand? Because of what? Color change. Now similarly, I will take one more example. Let's try to understand if there is any other thing that would actually give us, yes, the chemical reaction has happened here. Suppose, let me take a magnesium ribbon. What is this? Magnesium. So normally this magnesium ribbon is actually gray in color. Okay, but you know, when this magnesium ribbon is stored, you know, there is a possibility that this magnesium ribbon, just like iron, could interact with the atmosphere, and this magnesium ribbon would interact with the oxygen present in the atmosphere, and it would form magnesium oxide. What is it? Magnesium oxide. And this magnesium oxide that is formed will form a layer on the magnesium ribbon. Now you have to remove this magnesium oxide. So the one way to remove this magnesium oxide is to use a sandpaper. What is it? Sandpaper, so that the magnesium oxide is removed. Then what I do is I take a flame. So I take a flame, and to this flame I try to light this magnesium ribbon. So what would happen? If you do this particular experiment, you will see certain observations. So one such observation is there is a huge amount of release of heat. What is it? There is energy that is released. First thing. And the other thing you would see is this magnesium ribbon burning with white dazzling flame. So this is the second observation that you would see. And apart from this, you would see some white colored powder getting deposited. So that white colored powder that is getting deposited has formed because of the reaction of this magnesium ribbon, with oxygen that led to the formation of magnesium oxide. And the color of magnesium oxide is white in color. So initially it was gray colored ribbon, which led to the formation of white colored powder. So here also there is some change in color. So that means I can say some new substance is formed here from gray to white, which I got to know through an observation of change in color. And similarly, there is also a change in temperature. Initially, there was no temperature. There was no any rise in temperature. But when this magnesium ribbon started burning, you have seen there is a rise in temperature. So even change in temperature could actually indicate that there may be some chemical reaction that is happening. So two things we have seen, one is change in color and the other one is change in temperature. Okay, let me take one more example. We have taken two examples. Let's take one more third example where here I am taking zinc granules, that is small pieces of zinc, and this zinc is a metal, correct? And now I'm allowing this metal to react with, that means to actually, I'm getting this metal to actually into an environment of an acid, to an environment of an acid. So I know two such acids. For example, one is hydrochloric acid. What is it? Hydrochloric acid. And similarly sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid. So when I brought this in contact with this particular acid, there was a liberation of a gas, that was hydrogen. So hydrogen started liberating there. So that means that initially, did I have any gas here? No, but it led to the evolution of a gas. So initially these are my original substances, just like your iron, old iron, here the new iron. This is my old original substances which led to the formation of new substance, that is a gas. So even evolution of a gas, what is this? Evolution of gas also signifies, or it is also one kind of observation that you would see when a chemical change has taken place. Do you understand? And apart from that, do you think is there any observation here? One observation here is your zinc is a metal and it is in solid state, whereas your acid, which is in liquid state, has changed to what state? Gaseous state. So you will also see what? Change in state also. So change in state of a substance. So even if you see change in state of a substance, change in color, evolution of gas, or if you see change in temperature, all these observations tells us that something happened in that original substance which led to the formation of some new substance. You understand? So this is known as a chemical change, and chemical change is known as a chemical reaction. And to understand this chemical reactions better, we use certain notations and representations. You understand? We will learn this in the next class. Okay? Thank you so much.